Hi guys. How are you all? Welcome to my channel. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Today I was very happy because I had finally succeeded in achieving something I had been striving for so many months, and I had started my new journey today. But no one knew what a test this new beginning would prove to be for me, because the happiness I felt at that moment would be completely destroyed in the next. As soon as I entered the house, I could hear laughter from inside. The voices belonged to two people. They were talking and enjoying themselves. For a moment, I wondered who else could be in the house, but then, thinking that any close friend could have come to visit, I shook off the thought and moved forward. Then I started hearing disturbing conversations. At first, I thought I should just leave, thinking that I shouldn't interfere in anyone's affairs, but the voices I heard disturbed me so much that I couldn't resist. I immediately moved towards the room from where the voices were coming. As soon as I opened the door, the sight before me made the ground disappear from under my feet. I couldn't believe that such a huge betrayal would happen to me. I am Adil, and if I were to say that I'm a somewhat arrogant person, it wouldn't be wrong, because my friends and everyone else have always made me feel that I'm handsome. There was no doubt about it. Whenever I went out of my house, girls would turn around and look at me. Not only while coming and going, but even during my school and college days, many girls liked me. But I was someone who avoided girls because I had to focus on my future. I had to become someone successful, because this thought had been in my mind from the beginning: a successful person can achieve everything, and when I become a successful person, I will achieve everything. And I was striving for this goal until now. Minna Hill, who was with me from college, even got admission to the university because of me, even though I had clearly told her that I had no feelings for her. But still, that girl. She wasn't ready to let go of me. Perhaps she thought that with time, I would fall in love with her. She spent 4 years with me waiting for that, but nothing of the sort happened. After that, I got a very good job, but even then, I didn't marry Minna Hill, even though she tried everything possible to convince me of her love. Finally, exhausted and defeated, she agreed to marry someone else at her parents' insistence. After getting married, she left the country. I also became busy with my work, and I never spoke to her again. As soon as I got a good job, my mother started worrying about me. She started looking for prospective brides. Every day she would come to my room with pictures of many girls, but I didn't have any time for all of that. So, my mother chose a girl for me herself. Perhaps she liked that girl the most among all of them. My mother came to me with her picture. The girl was beautiful. Seeing her beauty, I agreed to the marriage proposal. As soon as I said yes, my mother's happiness knew no bounds. My mother would constantly praise that girl in front of me, saying she was very obedient, virtuous, and sensible. She said that when she comes to this house, she will beautify it and make my life a paradise. I was also happy because the girl was beautiful, and that's the kind of girl I wanted. Once or twice, my mother suggested that I meet the girl if I wanted to, but I didn't have the time then. I was quite busy, so I couldn't meet her. The engagement was finalized just by looking at the picture. My parents fixed the wedding date. Then one day, a friend of mine suddenly advised me that I should meet the girl once before the wedding and see her in person, just to be sure, so that no problems arise later. Taking my friend's advice, I decided to meet the girl with whom my parents had arranged the marriage. I also suddenly got 2 days off from the office. Now that I had the time, I went to meet the girl. But as soon as I saw her in person, the ground slipped from under my feet because that girl didn't look like a girl at all. She was a walking, talking drum. I had never imagined marrying such a fat girl, especially since I had only seen a picture of her face, which was beautiful. But seeing her figure from the neck down, my hair stood on end. I was absolutely not ready to marry that fat drum. After marrying her, I would have become the laughingstock of everyone. I wasn't so crazy as to marry a girl like that. Without saying a word, I turned around and came back home. As soon as I got home, I flatly refused the marriage. My mother sat down holding her head, while my father started scolding me. He said that now that everything was settled, the wedding date was fixed, the girl's family had even distributed wedding cards to their relatives, and my father had also invited everyone to the wedding, and now I was refusing the marriage. But nothing mattered to me. Right now, everyone would only ask the reason for the broken engagement, but if I had married that girl, everyone would have laughed at me, and I was never ready to give anyone that opportunity. I tried to explain to my mother and father, I tried very hard, but my mother had only one thing to say: the girl is beautiful, well-mannered, intelligent, and educated. You don't find girls like that often. A woman's beauty isn't the only thing that matters, her character and upbringing are far more important, and these are the things that count after marriage. But at that time, I wasn't ready to understand anything. When nothing worked, I decided to leave home because my parents were absolutely unwilling to back down. My father clearly and unequivocally stated that my marriage would take place in that house, and he wouldn't listen to any further arguments. I couldn't bear to see my life ruined like this, so a week before the wedding I left home and went to stay with a friend, thinking that I would return home as soon as the wedding date had passed. I had some old friends who always looked out for me. When I told them everything, they also said that I should run away from this marriage, that it was in my best interest, otherwise, I would have to bear this burden for the rest of my life. It was better that I also get myself out of this situation. Then they gave me shelter at their house. But my father wasn't one to give up easily. He started searching for me. His mission was to find me before the wedding. Finally, after asking around, he reached the house of my childhood friend, Vicky. I had a very old friendship with Vicky. I was sure he wouldn't have told my father about my whereabouts. Surely, it must have been some other friends who had informed my father, and my father had arrived there to take me back. But I refused to go, and then he said something that put me in a difficult situation. My father clearly stated that if I didn't listen to him and didn't return home with him, then the house we lived in, which was mine because I was my father's only son, would be sold, and all the money would be given to an orphanage or some other institution, and I wouldn't get anything from it. Therefore, if I wanted this house, I should return home before the wedding. That day he would transfer the house to my name. My father left after saying that, but now I was in trouble because I knew my father. He always did what he said he would do. There was no doubt that he would even sell this house the very next day. When I consulted my friend, he told me to listen to my father, marry that girl, and bring her home. Anyway, my family could force me to get married, but they couldn't force me to accept that fat girl as my wife, could they? On my parents' insistence, I would marry her and bring her home. I could just let her stay in a corner of the house. What difference would it make to me? And if I wanted, I could marry any other girl and keep her anywhere I wanted. So, it wasn't such a big problem. Every other man marries 2 or 3 times, and this way my house wouldn't slip out of my hands either. His point was valid. I thought it best to go home, and 2 days before the wedding, I returned home. I wasn't happy about this marriage, but I was forced to do everything. That day I realized that it's not only girls who are forced into marriages, but sometimes families also force boys and get them married against their will. That girl hadn't even come to this house as my wife yet, but before her arrival, hatred had already developed in my heart for her. Now, this hatred wasn't going to diminish under any circumstances. But what fate had decreed, the very next day, my parents, with great fanfare, brought their fat daughter-in-law home, and that fat girl, whom I intensely hated, was sitting in my room the next day as my bride, whom I didn't even like to look at. On the first day of the marriage, without considering the girl's feelings, I vented all my hatred and frustration on her. I told her in clear and unambiguous words that now that she had come to this house, she should stay within her limits. She didn't need to come near me, and she didn't need to demand any rights because I didn't consider her my wife at all. This marriage was forced. Therefore, the further away she stays from me, the better it will be for her, and if she ever interferes in any of my affairs, she will be responsible for the consequences. If I can marry her, I can also throw her out of this house. Saying this, I left my room and spent the entire night on the roof. My father didn't know about it, but my mother, who wakes up before dawn, found out that I had spent the whole night on the roof. So she came to me and started trying to reason with me. She said that she had lived a long life and had more experience than me, so she had made the decision about my life after careful consideration. She said that the girl she had brought home would prove to be a very good companion for me and that I should give her a chance. Beauty isn't everything, beauty is something that fades with time. The real thing is a person's character, conduct, and manners, which stay with you for life. Instead of looking at her physical appearance, I should look at the hidden qualities and virtues within her and live a good life with her. My mother's words were beyond my comprehension. I thought to myself, don't people who marry beautiful girls live beautiful lives? These are just empty words that a person's character is everything. My father kept his promise. According to the will, the house had been transferred to my name, and now I had decided what I was going to do next. The house was in my name now, and I had to get that fat woman out of the house somehow. If I kicked her out myself, my parents would definitely be angry with me. I absolutely didn't want that. So I decided that I would harass that girl so much, I would make her so miserable, that she would leave the house herself. This way, my parents wouldn't be angry, and I wouldn't suffer any loss either. Then, from the very next day after the wedding, I started working on my plan. My mother insisted that I take my wife out for a walk, even though I didn't want to take that girl anywhere with me. But at my mother's insistence, I took her out of the house, but I kept her sitting in the car the whole time. I drove around here and there. Even then, I gave her a good earful in the car and insulted her a lot. They say it right, she wasn't worthy of me taking her anywhere with me. So she wouldn't say anything to anyone at home, but would instead say that she had a lot of fun going out with me. And if she dared to open her mouth, I wouldn't hesitate for a minute to throw her out of the house. She silently endured everything I said. She never talked back to me. I started to mistake her obedience for weakness, thinking that perhaps she was fat, inferior to me, and therefore didn't have the courage to speak in front of me. But I forgot that the girl respected me, considered me her husband. Wait for next part.